As Daniel said, the digital platforms, even for board games, is going to be a thing in the next years, either for board games or for education. Just as he said, the pandemics just accelerated these things and these changes that were supposed to happen in 5 years from now or 10 years from now.
Welcome back to Futurist World, your home for big ideas about the future. I'm Mike Hill, and today we have a captivating new episode about the future of entertainment featuring two very special guests. Joining us from Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, Daniel D. Santana Martins. Hey, how's it going, Daniel? We're calling you DM for today because we've got two Daniels on the show. You are the CEO and founder of D+1 Design and Games, which focuses on the development of ludo-centric learning experiences. You're a futurist at Viture, specializing in virtual and augmented reality, and the winner of the SB Games 2019 Brazilian Best Game for Tote Minions. Congratulations on that. And joining us from Las Vegas, Nevada, USA, we have Daniel Trujillo, futurist skateboarder, co-founder of Walt Skateboarding, and a freelance robotics, augmented, and virtual reality expert. Hey guys, how's it going?
Going well.
Great to have you on the show. Starting with you, Daniel, in Vegas. Can you tell us about 2020, the Corona Coaster? How has the pandemic changed the whole future of entertainment, where we're going?
So I got into augmented virtual reality, and early on I had the idea. I'm like, wow, this is going to be really good for like virtual concerts and teleconferencing and things like that. And I was already working on a project to make virtual concerts using volumetric video and displaying that in virtual reality or augmented reality, so you can bring the concert into your home. And I feel that the forced social distancing and isolation from the pandemic has really accelerated that movement. I really feel like the pandemic has essentially forced that hand to become a totally necessary thing, as we saw with the Travis Scott concert in Fortnite, and streaming events like Triller doing the Mike Tyson fight, and they're making it more of a big production instead of just like sports filming, and also virtual production. That's the other thing, such as with the film that I'm sure basically everyone's seen at this point called The Mandalorian. Almost all of that is filmed just in a big LED circle around the actors, so all the background is there in real time. And the pandemic's also pushed that into the limelight because of everyone going to be socially distancing for the foreseeable future.
It's a total game changer. DM in Rio, I know you really thrive on human interaction because it's part of your ludocentric design. How has the lockdown affected your views on the future of entertainment?
Yeah, for me, it was very hard because I'm a social people. I love to interact and engage with people in personal experiences, either with my students, either with colleagues and board gamers, since I'm a board game designer also. And yeah, for the pandemic, it's really hard. It was hard for me to understand how this new normal works. But luckily I have a beautiful family with 2 kids and a lot of entertainment here with all these board games and RPGs and tabletop gaming. And actually my collection just grew a little much on these pandemics. But yeah, I think as Daniel said, the digital platforms, even for board games, is going to be a thing in the next years, either for board games or for education. Just as he said, the pandemics just accelerated these things and these changes that were supposed to happen in 5 years from now or 10 years from now. And it's okay, it's not that good, but also it's exciting to be being part of this change and to make this change and prototype these features. It makes me very excited.
Daniel, over to you in Vegas. Like I'm really interested to unpack this stuff around virtual reality more because I know when we've all been in lockdown, streaming services have gone through the roof. But part of me also wonders if this is going to become a bit nostalgic, sitting around a television and watching streaming series. In a way, like my grandparents used to talk about sitting around the wireless, listening to radio plays. Do you think that this is the start of, the future of VR and that we're going to be looking for more immersive, engaging experiences moving forward?
I certainly do. Even just within the last 9 months, it's gone from a thing that like some dorks had in their, offices to something that it seems like, at least, what I've seen on the internet, people have really heavily started adopting VR with like the Oculus Quest 2 coming out and that bringing the price down on top of just becoming a more viable piece of technology. So like the technology's gotten better and the price has come down substantially. And the things I already mentioned, like the virtual concerts, they're not going anywhere, as weird as they might be. And like teleconferencing, like I've had meetings in sort of like Zoom meetings just with virtual avatars in 3D spaces. There's also games inserted into those, so you can have like the emulation of physical interaction with people and still have gamification within that.
Amazing. And I mean, you're calling in from Vegas, which is, famous for its live experiences. How is VR going to change life and people wanting to show up and go to sports events and concerts and, gamble in person? How's this pandemic changed the future of live?
Well, I guess, say with Vegas in particular, it definitely hit it hard because we just got this new stadium that the state spent like $1 billion on, and you even used their rainy day money and stuff. And now they're like, oh crap, we don't have money to pay for all this other stuff because we diverted taxes to this giant stadium that's not getting used. And that, coupled with just the pandemic in general, it will volumetric video. So you'll be able to capture sporting events volumetrically, and people will be able to maybe purchase virtual tickets to get like, say, online front row seats and stuff. So it'll be more democratized or decentralized in terms of the accessibility to the layperson. But at the same time, once the ability to go to live events is reopened, like the actual, like the real physical seats might become more of a status symbol and stuff. Whereas some people might be like, well, I might want to spend $5 and go see insert band name or sporting event here, rather than pay the $95 or however many dollars it costs to go to the actual event. And also you can hang out in your own house and not pay exorbitant amounts of money for a hot dog or whatever too. So I feel like,
what's the matter? What's the matter with entertainment events, food? It's a lot of expensive. I thought it was just a thing in Brazil, but I can see it's a worldwide thing.
Yeah, like Brazil's famous for its football, right? So, can you imagine how it's going to change how people consume football going forward? They're not going to be flying to the World Cup and, necessarily wanting to experience it like that because they're just going to get such a better experience other than the human interaction at home. So how's this going to change things, do you think, Dia?
I think we're gonna see a lot of gamified, playful game-like experiences everywhere. Not only in sports and shows, but actually everywhere on the daily basis. On the status quo of the futures will be somehow gamified, because I think games is not just a medium or a tool, but a language, and actually the language of this century. And so just for the record, I'm Brazil. I'm from Brazil, and I hate football. I hate soccer. I'm not. I'm not a common and regular Brazilian guy because I really don't like the things.
Is it the food? Is that the problem? If they had better food, it'd be all right.
Yeah. I really don't like this, and don't like the beach, and don't like this heat and the sun and things like that. But as I was saying, not only these gamified experiences where people will interact more, but they will somehow got some empowerment of their creativity, or perhaps interacting with the event or the players, or at some sense way. I don't know what senses, but I think not only visual, but these experiences from the future will be more mixed reality experiences for our senses with interaction everywhere.
So as we move away from the passive entertainment and we start gamifying our lives, what's that going to mean for us? How does this change us as people, do you think?
Well, it's going to be hard for some people because I'm also a ludologist, a guy who studies the ludic and the fun things, the fun artifacts and interactions. And I see a lot of ludophobic behavior at society because we're not allowed to enjoy ourselves and to have fun. And I think fun will be the coin of the future, the monetization of the future. We're going to have this, I really do believe we're going to have this flow economy, like games and play will be associated with well-being and work performance and education. I think I know I sound a little generalist, but it's hard to say because there's so many possibilities, but the great things about these gamified experiences is the protagonism of people, because I sense some people are not protagonists in their lives.
Yeah.
They just go with the flow, and they don't have this agent sense of their lives. And I think when we have time, because technology will be a commodity and will help our daily basis, we're going to have time and we're going to have fun. And I want to somehow design these futures. And I just started with my family, with my profession, with my friends, to say that and make this alive, come to live,
Great. So Daniel, in Vegas, I want to talk to you about this idea of play and getting better at stuff using things like VR and augmented reality. You're a pro freelance skateboarder, highly technical sport. I'm really interested to know how do you see things like augmented reality changing the way young people learn how to skate, for example?
So with augmented reality and coupled with maybe some computer vision and then also volumetric video, you can essentially bring your teacher. Well, when I started skateboarding, there were no teachers. You had to look at like magazines and try to figure out what they were doing, or watch a video, which just was like before YouTube existed. So you had to either find someone that had the VHS or DVD, borrow that. Or one time, actually, the way I got really into freestyle skateboarding was I recorded a skate video with my camera. It was a Hi8 camera, and then brought that home and just watched it through the viewfinder a million times. So you'd have to then tiny 320 pixel screen, try to figure out what they're doing, and with really bad pause and slow-mo and stuff. But now I feel like AR coupled with volumetric and computer vision, you could bring your teacher to you. One, you could actually like record things such as full-on trick tips and stuff, which have become, in the digital like YouTube age, trick tips have become a really big thing, and it's accelerated skateboarding itself. And with that, instead of having your phone in your hand pressing pause and stuff, you could actually have the person via like what everyone would call a hologram projected into the real world right there, and you could pause them mid-trick and see exactly what they're doing, and like all the foot motions and everything. And like you could even sort of step into their feet, step into their shoes and figure out like what the foot placement is and all that. Or you could also, using like AR glasses, have a projection of like what foot motions to do. So, you know, hit the tail down here, slide your foot up this way, and, you know,
put like a game tutorial. Like a game tutorial for real skills. Awesome.
Yeah. Which they've done things similar in the medical field. And I know a bunch of aerospace companies are using it to assemble their airplanes and engines and stuff like that. So just taking the form that they're using in industrial enterprise things and bringing it to the more commonplace things such as skateboarding or hitting a baseball or a cricket ball or whatever sort of sport you want to label there. But I feel like those are the two major ones. Or using the same computer vision, like say you're sitting there watching your feet doing the trick. This is a little more in the future in terms of advanced technology, but using computer vision sort of figure out what you're doing wrong and, you know, actually give you pointers. You know, you kicked your foot this way instead of this way, or things like that.
Amazing. This is going to totally accelerate our development as humans. So DM, I want to ask you about this. I've heard 360 video being described as an empathy machine, and gaming's kind of like a resilience machine because it's all about failing forward. So I'm interested to get your thoughts on this in terms of how does this tech actually help us as people?
Yeah, it's an awesome question. As I'd like to say, games are a safe space for failure. We are actually inspired to fail at games because failure is how we learn in games. And so as we advance in these gamified futures of experiences and entertainment and education, we're gonna learn somehow. We're gonna have this meaningful education of ourselves because we learn from our mistakes, but we don't have the pressure that we currently experiencing society. Because failure is not a good thing, actually, especially in school, because you know the whole assessment system of schools is based on every failure you make, you downgrade your grade, and it's not good. It's not a good experience or a playful experiences for students. So we have to shift this mindset and use this game-like mindset to design better experiences, either in education or at professional or technical schools, or you know, raising your kids with virtual experiences with AI. And learn things like parenting, because as Daniel, when I was young, I experienced it. I tried to be a skateboarder myself, and I had a major fall, and never walked on a skateboard again, because I actually almost cracked my back. And that's something I would like to avoid. And maybe try at this safe space where I won't crack my back if I fall, but I will learn how to adapt and how to react faster and learn few things at every minute.
Yeah. So Daniel in Vegas, I want to go further on this VR stuff with you. Like that vision of the augmented reality skateboard is so amazing. I'm really interested to know if you get any inspiration from sci-fi around this stuff.
I do. I would say my first, believe it or not, actually, I'd never seen Ready Player One until the pandemic. So it's like one of the things people kept mentioning to me. They're like, "Have you seen this?" I'm like, "Nah, I already know about virtual reality."
I was like that also.
But I saw it and it's amazing, but I didn't get much inspiration from it. But there's a movie called The Congress that I got a lot of my inspiration for volumetric capture from. And I'll like briefly describe the movie without giving too many spoilers, but...
Now, what's it called again? The Congress?
The Congress.
Cool, got it.
And it was made in 2014 because I'm sure there's probably several other movies by the same name. So in that movie, they use like volumetric capture to capture the essence of an actor. And that's the only time they ever have to act ever again. Or they don't even have to act. So they capture them and then they generate 3D characters from them to act in films for them. And it becomes like this eternal contract that you just sign your likeness away to a studio forever. And then they end up getting into like pharmacological augmented reality. So like anything that you dream, like that's how your life is lived. And like, that's the world that you see and stuff. But two short films. One of them is called Hyper Reality. That one really influenced me, at least in terms of like the look and like the vision of things. Yeah. And another short film by the same creator, it's called Domestic RoboCop, and they're both like augmented reality run amok. So like complete saturation with ads. Everything's gamified to the point of like really just over the top, overwhelming. Don't see how people could like cognitively function in that sort of realm. And then of course, Minority Report by the king of sci-fi, Philip K. Dick. And Minority Report because, they have the holograms all around, you control the computers with your hands and stuff. And it just seemed like the next necessary step in terms of computing, which they would now refer to as spatial computing. So computing happening within the real world and it not being confined to a device like a smartphone or something.
One interesting thing about the first movie you quoted, it actually we have a signal that actors and actresses in Hollywood are making a closure on their contract of how companies will use their avatars and their digital selves after they die. So it's already happening right now. Yeah,
which we've seen with them bringing back Princess Leia,
Carrie Fisher,
movie.
Yeah,
Carrie Fisher, James Dean. And that, James Dean has been dead for like 50 plus years or whatever. So it's like that, resurrection of actors essentially.
And the live show from Michael Jackson and other performers. Yeah.
So DM, where do you get your inspiration from in sci-fi?
Yeah, I just remember my favorite movie of all time. How did I forgot this the other time? It's Back from the Future. It have this speculative design mindset and feeling the 2015 from the past, which looks like an 80s version of the future. But the fun thing about the film, it's not the speculative tech or the speculative future, but it's a movie about relationship. It's a movie about people and how to somehow be a protagonist of your life. And this is something I learned with games. We have to be the protagonists of narratives in the game, and so I try to use that in my life and to inspire my students and friends of mine with this mindset, this gaming mindset, as I like to say. Life is feels like a game. My grandma used to say that to me. Life is a game, and as a game designer, I know that games are designed to be won. So we have to win in life because life is like a game, and I really believe that. And in Back to the Future, uh, Marty it's understands the value of being a protagonist of his own life. And I think that it's a beautiful message.
It's a great man. One bit I love out of Back to the Future too is like he's in the town square and he's near the local theatre and they're promoting Jaws 19 and the huge Jaws shark kind of comes out and bites his head off in real life. And I'm wondering, Daniel, in Vegas, does this bring people back to the live experience when you get augmented reality like that and there are sensors everywhere? And, I can imagine Vegas going off in this way, just in terms of things becoming really interactive based on where you're actually located. Where do you see that sort of AR going?
Yeah, location-based AR, there's a really big movement right now. It was going on before the pandemic, and it's one of those things that I feel has been accelerated by it. To build what's called the AR cloud, which is essentially, just persistent AR content within the real world and the ability to have localized games, localized advertisements, signage for, buildings, ads and stuff. And I feel like that sort of stuff, there's a project I worked on that I got to think of what details I can mention.
Ooh, secret project.
Yeah, so you can have like galleries where like they become sort of a thing, like, experiences where you can go like take pictures in this museum type thing. It's like a hall of mirrors and all that stuff. Like from there, you can extrapolate that they will start having persistent AR content, or like, so where you can leave your mark. Say you could do AR graffiti, like draw some artwork in a place and it'll always remain there unless someone comes and erases it or adds to it, which I'm a big fan of as an artist. I'm also an artist on top of all the other things. I personally enjoy doing add-on art. So it's like I draw a piece and hand it off to someone, they do a piece, they hand it off, and etc. And like, as we saw with, this is sort of off topic, but like with those monoliths and stuff, where it's like one person did it or a group of people did it, and then everyone's like, oh crap, I want to do that. And it like became a participatory thing, everyone doing the same sort of graffiti, as I would just refer to it as, or, installation art. So then you'll have like augmented installation art, and say once movie theaters and stuff start opening back up, they might have interactive posters where you can, point your phone at the poster and you can have Iron Man comes out and you can take your picture with Iron Man, which they just started doing that with the release of the newest Google Pixel. They have a Mandalorian AR experience that comes stock on it, I guess, or something like that. So then, large cities, the cities made with lots of lights and stuff like Tokyo and Vegas, I would imagine that it could just start becoming a huge part of their economies, or not even necessarily their economies, but like just the buildings themselves and the streets and stuff. So you'll have all this, you might have like a really crummy street just with your eyes, but through augmented reality, it could be like beautiful, have fountains and stuff, and
Yeah.
You know, nice archways and lights and flying things going all over the place, and it could go a lot of places. I think they have a big dinosaur in a, you know, Rio de Janeiro next to Jesus or whatever.
Awesome.
All right, guys, we're almost at the end of our journey today. Thanks so much for talking about the future of entertainment. It went pretty quickly into this whole immersive futures, you know, like where our experiences of entertainment become much more intimate and personal and location-based. I want to start with you there, DM in Rio. When you think about the future of entertainment, are you optimistic or pessimistic?
Oh, definitely optimistic. I'm like a hippie, you know. I think things are gonna be better, and I really hope after this pandemics we get out better than we entered. And I work actively to design better futures, not only for me, because you know, as a male, white, cisgender, and all that stuff that we are currently discussing at society, I think with my privileges, I have to use them for other people, and I really believe that, and I really work with this mindset in every interaction and every professional movement I make. Or personal movement I make. So I definitely think the futures is going to be brighter and better, not only for me, but for everyone.
I love it, DM. And look, you know, as a filmmaker, I'm hearing you, like entertainment can definitely influence society. And the way you talk about gaming makes me think that's going to be such a key part of our, you know, prosperity going forward. Daniel in Vegas, how are you feeling? You gave us some dystopian visions of the future in your sci-fi references. Are you feeling optimistic or pessimistic about where we're going from here?
I'm simultaneously of both minds, but I'm personally optimistic.
You're like a quantum. You're in both states.
Yeah. So I'm always optimistic, but I always try to be aware of the possible pitfalls and bad things that could happen, because especially with some of the things revolving around Facebook, for example, and just like the using social media to manipulate people. Yeah, it's something that you really have to start being aware of, because obviously they do it in the media, and people have used the media to negatively influence people in all sorts of ways. So I'm optimistic about the technology for sure. And then there's always going to be bad actors that want to use any new technology to gain power over other people. And as DM stated, I personally feel really similarly, like my main goal in life is to make sure I have a good life and make sure everyone around me has a good life.
Yes.
And
yes.
it's never at the expense of anyone else too. And I feel that, like, I'm optimistic about our youth. Say we have people like me and DM at the helm trying to guide this sort of entertainment, that the future is definitely bright. We just have to be aware and always sort of be on our toes and be on the lookout for the nefarious actors.
Yeah, right on. Daniel, TM, thanks so much for joining me today. That was really inspirational on the future of entertainment. Some legendary insights there. Thanks so much. That's a wrap on the future of entertainment. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. As always, like, share, comment, follow, and see you next week. Thanks, DM. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.